Speaking of collectibles, that's why we have my buddy Clay here in studio. Clay Kregel, he works with me at Encore. We're kind of the two responsible for the memorabilia side of things, and that's been growing pretty fast, much akin to the industry as a whole, because the memorabilia industry as a whole has really grown really since COVID. That's one of the things that actually benefited from COVID. A lot of they kind of say for certain industries, we work in collectibles and Amazon, those industries kind of sped up based on the mechanisms that happened during COVID. They say that events like that can have a tendency to speed industries up. I think that's what happened with memorabilia and Amazon as a whole during that time. But Clay and I were working separately in the memorabilia industry and decided to team up kind of under Encore's roof. So I wanted to update people on memorabilia. I wrote a book on sports memorabilia. I never talk about it on the show. I don't talk about memorabilia a ton or the book, but that is available on our Encore page along with the show shirts and everything like that. But yeah, wanted to have you on, Clay, and talk some memorabilia because we've got a lot going in the memorabilia space here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Ryan. Like he said, we do have a lot of stuff going on right now. We've been getting a lot of consignments in, lots of new products that has sold, lots of stuff that we just listed too. Today we listed a Wilt Chamberlain. It's a vintage style jersey, limited to 100 by Upper Deck. That one's one of our more valuable consignments that we've had for a customer, and we got all kinds of other stuff listed too. Really cool stuff. We got a Joe Montana, Dwight Clark signed helmet, Joe Montana jersey. We've got a bat, Bo Jackson, Yogi Berra. We've sold baseballs, Ken Griffey Jr., Barry Bonds. Recently added some more cards, sports cards to our collection, which Ryan's more of the game used side of things in terms of memorabilia and game used uniforms, stuff like that. And I kind of work with sports cards more often. I'm at shows pretty much weekly and selling on my own personal eBay account quite often. So, yeah, we got a bunch of new card consignments in, the new NFL hot rookies like Drake May, Jackson Dart. We have a few that go for a few thousand each that are super short print. Numbered cards. So yeah, we got a lot going on right now.
I want to talk to you about the card part because Clay specializes in that, and I think we're going to probably do some more kind of content oriented stuff towards this stuff within our business because of our backgrounds and because I think there's a need for it. There's a need for education in the memorabilia marketplace, but some of it is strategies too, strategies of acquiring items, strategies of selling items. We like to give people the opportunity to sell items through us. We do consignments. We're very, reputable and like to give people honest feedback and all of that. And we pride ourselves on our reputation, but it's also in finding the items too, because a lot of these can be rare items, but I'm intrigued by how Clay does some of his stuff with the different shows, because like you said, he goes to the show basically every weekend, and there's all sorts of different ways that you can source items. I cover some of that in my book, but he basically goes to shows, finds cards that have already hit the market, and then kind of repurposes them and gets them into the hands of the people that would kind of want them rather than languishing in a dollar box at a show.
Right. Yeah. That's sort of the fun and everything. It's a sort of a treasure hunt every Saturday, I guess, for the show that I go to. I'm always looking for two different things. One is what's hot. You want to try to buy what's hot at a good price and sell it very quickly. That's what I try to do. And then look for number two, unique items. Items that, cards that might not go for sale often on eBay, that might be limited to 10 copies, might be a short print, might be a rare parallel of a, somebody that, was famous for a blip in time and they don't have any more cards of them. Or, for example, we were talking earlier today, I went to a show on Saturday, and Shohei Ohtani, his card market has gone through the roof, rightfully so. And I found a card. It was graded PSA 9 rookie card for $40. Which the price on that card was probably about $40 last year at this time. I'm guessing the dealer didn't update it, didn't feel like updating it and wanted to sell it to me for $40. Bought it, 15 minutes later, I walked over to another table, sold it for 105. Now I could have held on to it, and Shohei's a generational player, potentially the best player of all time moving forward. But anytime I can make a quick flip like that, it's money in the pocket, and you keep it rolling. So that's what I try to do with sports cards.
Well, knowledge is power in that kind of situation, and he's selling it for what he wants to sell for, and then you're able to do what you want afterwards. But the Ohtani market is interesting to me because there's no wonder why his market is good as far as, like you said, generational player. The only comp is basically Babe Ruth. I mean, there's not a lot of people doing what he's doing, especially being a high-end pitcher and a high-end hitter. He's basically two MVP candidates in one player, and so then therefore he's paid accordingly. Plus, he's got the Japanese market. Yep. And when you have a background from another country, then you have that whole country behind you. It was the same thing with Ichiro. He was arguably a generational player too, not in the same way, but he was a very good player, very talented, but he had a whole country behind him. So the market improves and you want stuff overseas. But we were talking about this, Clay. He's had a recent spike that's been very sharp that hasn't necessarily coincided with play because it's more been after they stopped last year, after the season ended.
Yeah.
And yes, they did well last year, and he did well, but it does seem like he's kind of going exponential, which you had a theory on.
Yeah. So I think a lot of this is obviously the Dodgers won the World Series last year. Who knows? They'll probably win it again this year. Shohei's probably going to win MVP if he keeps up his numbers and everything. But I think a lot of the hype right now, first off, in the world of sports cards and the market of sports cards, preseason is usually when the hype comes in. Every team 0-0. You never know. You might get a surprise out of a team like the Marlins, or the Tigers have been a team in the last couple of years that have sort of come out and surprised people. So everyone's feeling positive about their teams. They're buying up cards before they get disappointed. Sometimes even before the month of May comes around, if you're, say, a White Sox fan over the last few years. But I think the Shohei market has exploded, not just because of the MVP, the World Series, but I think people are predicting a World Baseball Classic, just like a few years ago when they had it, where Shohei's market blew up at that point too. Obviously, he had that famous at-bat against Mike Trout in the ninth inning against Team USA. That market has just kind of blown up for the anticipation of opening day, potentially another MVP, potentially another World Series run. We saw the Dodgers make some moves in the offseason to improve those chances of the World Series by adding Kyle Tucker, Edwin Diaz. I'm sure I'm missing like three other All-Stars
they
that they
probably
signed for
people,
like
$700
million, and they don't have to pay them until 2058. But yeah, that Shohei market is going crazy right now, and I don't know when it's going to stop. I don't know if it will stop.
Well, and you hit on two things earlier that I kind of cover in my book, talking about the players that are hot, the trending players, trending themes. The example I use in my book is not necessarily outdated. It's an older player, but it was the best possible example at that time because it was Johnny Manziel. When he was in college, his jersey was going upwards. It was going for several $100,000. His game used jersey. There's nobody really in that market. You might have a Brady jersey close if it's a very good jersey, but that's the greatest of all time, and Manziel's jersey was comparable to that. So that's a sell high kind of time because it was basically a small percentage of that just a year or two later after Manziel hit the pros, and yes, he kind of had a large fall from grace, but there was no way that he was going to continue to be that good. He had to be one of one to basically continue to have that value. There was no way. But the other one is manufactured rarity, which they're doing a lot better job with nowadays, because they used to, in the era I grew up in, which was the 80s and 90s, that's now called the junk era. Not because I was born in
1980s, right? Not 1880s.
Exactly.
1980s.
It depends on who you ask. But you had the junk era, not because I was born in that era. That did impact that name. But it was they overproduced the cards because there was a lot of demand for cards, and people were buying up cards because their parents had thrown their cards away. Now the companies have kind of gotten wise to that and said, okay, we're not gonna wait for cards to get rare or sit in people's attics. We're just gonna say, hey, here's a one of one. Good luck. There's one of these in these thousands of boxes and packs that we have.
Sure. Yeah. I think that's sort of helped the card market. Like if you were to search Shohei Ohtani rookie card on eBay right now, you're probably going to be able to find 800 different Shohei Ohtani rookie cards, different brands, different sets, different parallels, all of that stuff. So I think it helps increase the value of, hey, I'm the only one with this Shohei Ohtani Cosmic Red 2023 Red Lava numbered to 5 card, or whatever that may be. So I think it's cool for somebody to say, I only have this that you won't be able to have because there's only 3 others in the world, and the chances of you finding the 3 others isn't very high. But some people will look for like the rainbow of specific cards. So what they'll do is they'll try to find the base card, which is the easiest to find, and then they'll find a foil card, which is second easiest to find, and then there's 40, 50 different variations of that exact card, and their whole search is to try to find the blue, the aqua blue, the gold superfractor numbered 1 of 1, and then there's another superfractor numbered 1 of 1, and there's a red numbered to 5. So it kind of just helps with the overall chase of trying to complete your different set, and different ways for you to collect, I guess.
Well, they have to kind of simulate that now with modern day cards or modern day collectibles, because it used to be a literal treasure hunt. You were trying to find old coins, old whatever. But if you want to collect something that's new, you have to kind of make it rare and manufacture that rarity. Sure. So it's an interesting concept. But I want to highlight a couple of the collections that we have through Encore, because a lot of the fun of it too, Clay kind of focused on the collecting side and the treasure hunt side, but each of these pieces kind of tells a story, and I want to talk about a few of the stories of some of the collections that have been consigned to us. So we'll come back with Clay in studio. Stick with us. You're listening to Sports Intel on Jethro FM. Having a good conversation here with Clay Kregel of Encore Business Group. We work together on a bunch of memorabilia items, and what's fun about this for me is you get to hear the stories and see kind of the history of the game too. We were talking about the modern day, but one of the collections that we have right now is the David Dashow collection. He was he did a lot of umpiring back in the day. He won one of the original Duncan Yo-Yo competitions. This guy was a man of many talents, and he had a lot of connections with professional athletes and actors and a who's who of that day. So he basically amassed 300 plus signed baseballs that have everybody from some of the big names in Tigers history to guys like Don Rickles and popular comedians and actors. And so it's been fun to work with his family, who were the ones that consigned this. It was a labor of love basically for his entire life. He was a salesman and other things over the course of his life, but he amassed this collection, and it was his hobby, and basically he left it to them and said, hey, do what you want. And so we kind of wanted to honor him and talk about him, because this was a fairly infamous collection too. It was covered in newspapers back in the day, and so we've been progressively selling that. We still have some pieces left with that, but that's the kind of thing that's fun to do, because you're highlighting some of the old pieces that every piece has a story.
Yeah, that's been really, really fun to go through. I'm kind of the one that's in charge of getting those listed and doing some of the research and such on that. And seeing some of the just overall baseball history. There's just random games from 1983 and the whole umpire crew signed that ball. Or there's a Jack Morris display with game-used baseballs from his no-hitter, and one of the balls is signed by Jack. Just a really cool way for the family to move on from that collection, but also
kind of celebrate the legacy.
Celebrate the legacy of him. And those balls all have a story. and it's cool to get those out in the market for people that are wanting a piece of that story.
Definitely. You mentioned one of the pieces that I think has a cool story too. You're talking about the Joe Montana signed helmet. That was the play they actually designed. They wrote down a picture of the play on the helmet, which I thought was cool. The infamous play to the back of the end zone there with Dwight Clark, and so yeah, every piece, all these old pieces have a story. The cards are more of a treasure hunt and kind of collect them all, like Clay was saying, and then these older pieces are kind of a little bit more rare. Not necessarily more rare, I guess, but more vintage and of a different era, and kind of have stories all associated with them. We even have a perfect game jersey from Dennis Martinez of the Expos. That's one. So there's 2 jerseys in that game. He traded out the jersey about mid-game and then put on a different one. So he actually wore 2 jerseys in that perfect game. The other one's in the Hall of Fame. So we have one of those, and the other one's in the Hall of Fame. So it's cool to see these pieces that are literally museum quality.
Yeah, it's really cool. As a big sports fan, big sports nut myself, being able to help people get some money out of their collections that they have, whether it's a robust collection like the Dash Out collection that we've been going through, or there's the Montana piece was part of a larger collection as well. We've also had a lady that was a family friend of one of ours, and she had a bunch of antiques she didn't really know what to do with, and we thought, hey, she thought there'd be a few $100 worth, and I think we're over $1,000, almost at $1,000 in consignment for her with other listings to go for her. So big and small, we consign it all.
Yeah, if it's that was nice there. Yeah, if it's it doesn't matter if you're trying to kind of clear things out, or the other part of this is it's kind of a butterfly effect, because you take one collection that has 300 pieces like the Dave Dashow collection, and you get it to 300 different people, or somewhere in there, maybe people would buy more than one item, but 200 to 300 other people, and then it becomes a premier part of their collection, or the only thing in their collection. And so it then spreads the interest and love of the game. And so it's a fun thing, fun business to be in, and we like helping people with it. We got to direct people to where they can find us here, Clay, if they're interested in the services. Obviously, they can reach out to me and any of the show pages, but we also have our Encore pages as well.
Yeah, yep. So Encore is on Facebook. It's Encore Business Group. There's a post in there. If you are interested in consigning at all, there's a Google form and some of the posts in there that you can just fill out. Just a basic interest form for your collection, and then we'll reach out to you. Can go over, potential value of your collection, and if we think it'd be a viable option for our eBay store, which we are on eBay. We have a very high follower count. We get a lot of listing views, and our eBay store does really well. That's Encore Business Group is the username. That's all one word. And then my personal X account is for my cards. That's KGS Cards is where you can find me. I share some fun pulls that I find in packs, so then share some finds that I find at different card shows, and just some other randomness in the sports card world.
He recently had a post go somewhat viral for a Ricky Vaughn card that was modeled after, I think that was I don't know what year, 89, something like that. But it was modeled after that card, and but it was Ricky Vaughn from Major League fame, Charlie Sheen's character. So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff to be found out there, and we like unearthing it and helping people sell, buy, what have you. So yeah, feel free to reach out to us. We love just talking about collectibles. That was one reason I wanted to have Clay on the show in general, not only to advertise things. Encore's the presenting sponsor for the Shane Graham Show as well, and they're sponsoring this show. But it's fun to talk about memorabilia, and I don't do it enough. Initially, when I got this show, it's kind of based on talking memorabilia. We went more sports talk, but we want to have Clay back regularly so that we can kind of get a regular memorabilia corner kind of segment here.
Yeah, and one thing too is while our expertise is in memorabilia, we do work with pretty much anything. Antiques, admittedly, Ryan and I are not big antique experts, but we've been eBay users long enough to know the best way to research and get the most money out of the items that you want to consign. And if we don't think we're the best option, we have a lot of other connections in the industry for your collection that we'd be happy to work as a pass-through for. So anything and everything, we consign it. Right now we've got different apparel, sports gear. We've got winter boots. We've got all kinds of stuff on our store. So yeah, check us out if you're interested in buying anything. It's Encore Business Group on eBay, or if you're interested in consigning, hit us up on Facebook at Encore Business Group.